Welcome to the Whitetail Advantage Podcast with your host, Brett Bovin. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show.
How's it going, everyone? It's Brett Bovin, and welcome to the motherfucking electronic campfire. Now, we're not politically correct on this show. We have a strong belief that hunting and brotherhood go hand in hand together. So, with brotherhood, you also get hazing, and that you're going to be hazed on. So, join the hazing with us. That's all we say. Sundays is our roundtable type segment show covering a variety of different topics, and today is Sunday, April 6th, 2025. It's our Tuesday show. It's more of our state-specific show. We bring a guest that lives and hunts in that state. We ask them a variety of different questions. Now, it was say on the show, we record in the slot machine. What I mean by that is help share the show, just help grow the show and help share the show. That's all we ask of everybody out there. I believe hunting is a dying sport. It's a dying lifestyle. It's not like what it used to be, whereas it's nowadays where it's more of the deer camps are more kind of electronic nowadays. That's what I like to call this, the electronic campfire. But we'd love to get to the deer camps what they used to be in their own way. But they also do change. So change is good sometimes. I also do want to take a second, and I always like to say this. Thank you to all the men and women in the military. Thank you for your service, and thank you for your sacrifice. I also like to say thank you to all the men and women in law enforcement, firefighters, the doctors, corrections officers, booking officers, construction workers, basically everybody in public service. I just want to say thank you for your service. Now, like I said, today is Sunday, April 6th, 2025. Tonight we have on myself and the Squatch, along with our guest, Brian. Some of you might know him as Bitter Root Beer. I purposely did that. Johnny's not going to be with us tonight, thank God. Dave's not going to be here with us either. So it's just, we're just hitting on a milestone tonight. Anyways, so I invite you all to grab a chair and pull up next to Electronic Campfire and enjoy an amazing conversation, an amazing night tonight. We're going to get into some amazing topics tonight.
Well, hello.
Well, hello, Brian. Thank you for coming on the show, brother.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
And we also have Squatch up there at the top because it's just Squatch. I mean, look at him. He deserves to be up there on a pedestal. He's just so beautiful.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I got beard envy, bud. As soon as I get retired from this job, I'm going to be you.
That's all right. It's all good. We understand. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's well.
I have the best beard. There's no argument with that. Mine's just a nice trim, clean cut. I have scruff there. It means it's a manly beard.
It's just low maintenance. It's awesome. You don't have to do anything to it.
I know. I do a little shampoo here and there, and that's it.
Yep. He's running the millennial scruff. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Well, Johnny's not here tonight for his segment, and looks like Michael didn't send in any for him, so I'm just going to pick three off top of the dome here. Let's start off with Squatch.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, let's do this. Let's go this route. You have a Squatch, the Loch Ness Monster, and Pumpkinhead.
Oh, man. So let's see. I got a friend one, so I'm going to friend the Squatch because, he's my role model. And
your boy.
If I got to kill one and be, what was it? You said
the Loch Ness Monster.
Oh, kill Loch Ness Monster. I don't know what happens. Every time I get on this show, I start getting a frog in my throat. Let's see. And let's see. So the other one was
Pumpkinhead.
Nah, let's kill Pumpkinhead. Kill Pumpkinhead. Befriend Squatch. And your Loch Ness Monster. So we'll leave it at that.
All right.
Yeah.
Brian, you have an alien from the movie Aliens. I'm trying to go like fictional type creatures here.
Mhm.
The Predator,
Oh,
Cool.
and let's see. Squatch, give me one more. I'm stuck here.
Slimer from Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy. I'm going to befriend Predator for sure. He's just an outer space SWAT guy, so we'll just go with that.
There you go.
I'm going to hunt the Slimer, and the other one was the
Alien.
alien. Yeah, we're gonna kill that son of a bitch.
I like that. I mean, Predator and Alien are kind of similar, but you can use
Yeah,
Alien for
but
an actual alien.
this Predator's just got the shit, man.
That motherfucker is just a bad. And yet, yes, I get it. They're bad creatures. They kill people, but in every movie, they somehow turn out to be nice, and you root for the motherfuckers.
Oh yeah,
All right, Brett. So I got 3 for you. You ready?
let's have it.
Okay.
All right. They're not animals, though. Well, they could be considered animals. All right. So first one's Bill Cosby. The second one is P. Diddy. And the third one is Jeffrey Dahmer. Go.
Oh God, no.
Jeffrey Dahmer is what's for dinner.
That is so bad. I guess. Okay, so I got Bill Cosby.
You gotta get the Bill Cosby with the
Put the Bill Cosby, put the pudding in the pudding pot.
Yeah.
Bill Cosby, P. Diddy, and Jeffrey Dahmer. I guess I'm killing Jeffrey Dahmer.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna hunt P. Diddy and I'll befriend Bill Cosby because I still feel like I can. I'll just put a cover over my drink.
There you go. Yeah.
Him and I could just have a great conversation. I don't know. I feel like. I mean, I don't know how other way you could go about doing that.
It's excellent. Perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, it's the shit that goes through this brain of mine, man. It's like, okay, I got to come up with something for Brett. Oh, I know.
I like it. I like it. It's a good one. Brian, thanks for playing.
Yeah, no worries.
So now.
So, in your guys' honor today, I brought.
What is that?
Cock and bull.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, Dave loves
Cock
that.
and bull.
The first part of that cock.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna do it, we might as well go all the way.
Exactly.
Yep. Definitely.
Well, brother, can you give a little background about yourself?
Yeah. So Brian Lueddeke, I live in West Central Mountains of Idaho. So if you go to Boise and you go about 3 hours north, you'll find me there. I'm a police officer for the city of McCall. I've worked here a couple of years, and then I spent a couple of decades with the city of Meridian. 54. I've got 3 super awesome kids and a couple of grandkids, and a wife that puts up with my bullshit. So that's 25 years almost of a policeman's wife. She puts up with the bullshit. So
Yeah.
And then I've been hunting. Started hunting when I was 6, just shooting squirrels and doing the typical kid stuff.
Yeah.
And then got my first hunting license in deer tag when I was 12. And here I am 40 some odd years later.
Now, tonight's show is going to be interesting because we all know that I don't script my shows. We just go off campfire type feeling atmosphere. However,
Yeah, man.
you and I have talked before about what we'd like to talk about on the show. And you're actually, we'll start off with this route. You're actually considering doing your own podcast for people that are, what was it, 50 or older, and the older people like that. So it fit perfectly with Squatch and Dave and with those old.
Yeah, you and I. Yep, you and I've talked about that quite a bit, actually. And the kind of the impetus behind that was today's social media. I mean, social media is really geared up for the younger crowd, right? I mean, if you're millennials, you're Gen Zs, etc.
Yeah.
The hunting community, the kind of the business, if you want to call it that, is really geared up for that group of people, because they're the ones that are the professionals at this point. They're the ones that have the disposable income per se, and some of the time, et cetera, to do these types of things. And so all the marketing stuff is really geared up for them. And those of us that are starting to surpass those age limits, we kind of get left behind with some stuff. And we have our own set of challenges when it comes to getting out in the field and doing this stuff. For example, I have kids, they're adults, and they have kids. So now you're splitting your time trying to figure out what you're going to do in the fall with kids and or grandkids or whatever the case may be. It just, you have, obviously start having choices to make. Also, when your kids have kids, they still want to go hunting. So guess who gets to go with the grandkids? Right?
Yeah.
So there's some of that. The other thing that we're going to focus on, some of the notes that we've put together so far, I've put together so far, is fitness. That's really going to be probably the top of the top of the billet for a lot of things, because you're in your 30s, right?
Yeah, 31.
31. Okay. So for us, Squatch and I and Dave, particularly, as you start hitting that 50-year-old mark, it really gets harder. I mean, really gets harder. People don't understand. I was in really good shape at like 45, 46. And the bottom fell out pretty quick. And it just got to the point where it's really difficult. And you can't do things the way you did. Your joints don't take it. You 41 years old and bench press 335 pounds was no big deal. Do all this different stuff, CrossFit and back squats and all the different things. Then you wake up and you're 50 and you got a compressed disc and your lower back, and you've got 2 shoulder repairs and 3 knee surgeries and a hip that doesn't like you anymore. Some different things. So you have to tweak those workouts to fit your, I don't want to say ability level, because that's not what it is, but to fit your body's ability to perform.
Well,
And
I'm
it's
sure
different.
also in the days where you're kind of younger, and I'm sure, I don't know if you had this saying in your police academy, but in ours, when you become a cop, you lose the right to be out of shape.
Yeah.
And it was just, and I don't give a shit. We called people that were out of shape fat fucks. And if you were a fat fuck, then we called you out on it, because you needed to be in shape, because you're putting your life on the line. And at the end of the day, you need to get home. And if you are out of shape, you're dead if it comes to a life and death type of situation. And if you're working out, and I'm assuming when you get older, because you're putting so much pressure on your joints from working out younger, and your body can take that. But the more you get older, because you were doing that for so long over a period of time, it's just deteriorating those ligaments and those joints altogether. By the time you get up to your guys' age, I'm assuming they're just basically shot. I'm assuming, and I'm no doctor or anything. I'm just.
It takes its toll on you, man. It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure, like everybody else, we've did our due diligence of working hard our whole lives. I mean, from the time I was 5 years old, I was stacking firewood in the back of a trailer up in the woods, and just physical labor my whole life. I did landscaping for over 21 years by myself, basically. Short spell, a guy I call my son, he worked with me for a while, and it helped out. But after 21 years of bouncing around on stuff, man, my back Swiss cheese. I got a tumor alongside my spine that's about the size of my fist. It's like a fatty cyst that's kind of like into my one side of my spine, so it hurts. It puts a lot of pressure on my back. I got to probably have it taken out, but I'm just every day you just bear through it, and I'm sure Root could tell you too. I could totally concur too, and you'll be like I was fishing the other day, and I was like jumping around off of some rocks, and I'm like getting all wobbly up there. I'm like, man, this is freaking nuts. I used to be able to just freaking turn around, go right over to here. Now I gotta watch what the hell I'm doing, because you don't have you just got to grin and bear it and move on. And
and Squatch, you bring up a good point, because as we age, we lose dexterity and we lose some balance too, and you really have to work hard to maintain that.
Yeah, you do.
You come on, and we've talked. hunting back east is a little bit different than hunting out in the West, right?
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but it's nothing for us to strap on a 40, 50, 60, 70-pound pack or more
Yeah,
if you got meat in it,
yeah.
and have to traverse, the Rocky Mountains to get in and out of where you're going.
Yes, sir.
Mm.
It's a deal. And so all these different things that you can do to bring your balance back, or at least maintain what you've got, and start strengthening those
Oh
those
yeah,
minor muscles and stuff. It's a big deal. The other thing, I treated my body like a freaking amusement park when I was younger.
me too.
Yeah, and I'm paying for that now, right? I've got enough titanium in me that I think the Chinese want to start shipping me rare earth metals. So.
Yeah.
Well, with getting up there in age, how do you get over the mental aspect of it, Brian? From like what you were like getting over that mental aspect of, well, I'm not what I used to be when I'm in my fucking 20s or 30s, but I still gotta grind it out. Especially, we're just talking about like in
Yeah,
general. Give me your
yeah,
general type atmosphere of it, but also hunting out west because it's obviously a lot different than hunting out east. But hunting in
it
general, you
is.
still got to get over that point, though.
Right, you still got to get up and start move over stuff, right? So, as far as basically sticking to it, right? Basically just grinding it out. That's a mindset. Um, I just I don't quit. You can ask my you can ask my kids and my son-in-law specifically if he's on here. Um, we packed his elk out of a hellhole and
Hmm.
a half this past November, and I beat him to the truck. But you just put one foot in front of the other, and you just do. I don't. That's a mindset. You can't. Whew, you step on a landmine on that one, Brett. But I mean, really, you either have that or you don't. I think I don't.
Yeah, you just basically suck it the fuck up and move on.
Yeah, if you have it in your mind that you can't do it, then you're not gonna. I mean,
Mm.
really, that's just the end of it. I don't quit. We've talked about some stuff, some of my injuries, whatnot, and I had to overcome quite a bit to get back to where I am.
Yeah.
Um, and I still fight that battle, especially with the strength and balance as a result of it.
Hmm.
But you keep persevere. I want to be out there doing this. It's my happy place.
Mhm.
So I put the work in.
Like when I was in the police academy, I hurt my knee and it fucked it up pretty good. And I'm trying to get back into shape because I always use that as an excuse to not make it
Yeah.
back into shape. It's like, oh, my knee, kills.
Mhm.
Eventually, you just get to the point where it's like, well, fuck, I'm a fat fuck now. I need to get back in shape. I got 2 kids now,
Mhm.
and you just suck it the fuck up. And every time I go out there running and I'm working out, don't get me wrong, it sucks. But you also just get to a point where it's just like, all right, it hurts. Just suck it the fuck up and move on. Just accept it
Yeah.
and just it's not going to
And
get any worse. So just accept it.
yeah, and we modify and adjust, right? I work with a trainer who's your age actually, and he and I hunt together periodically and do some stuff. I shoot with him, and but he understands the aging process, and because he's also a physical therapist, so he gets it. He gets the injury. He helped me through my original injury. What did he say?
PSC Mobile, which is it's a Dave, says
It's
getting
Dave.
old
Yeah.
don't mean you can't getting old
Okay.
don't mean you can't be fit. Just takes more.
By definition, old age. I got to put these on to see it. But Jared Gonzalez is his kid's name, and he works with me quite a bit. We talk daily about some of the different things, how I'm feeling, what hurts, what doesn't, what we need to do. I don't run anymore with my knee injury. I just don't. Um,
Broadside ambush.
um,
You tell him, Brett. Don't be a bitch. It's
that's
true.
funny. Yeah.
Frankie.
But we do things on a spin bike, or we'll do
Mm.
things on a rower, or we'll do different stuff that's going to be lower impact on the body but
Yeah.
still keeps that heart rate going. Plus, I do quite a bit of weighted uh, packing, rucking, whatever you want to call it. But
Yeah.
and I've been
But you're
13.
adapting to those situations. Like you can modify, like you just said, workouts. And I love, if I had a pool, I'd do it more aquatic workouts, because there's like
Sure.
zero impact on your
And a lot
ligaments
of,
and your joints
yep.
compared to actual running on pavement.
And there's a lot of resistance.
Exactly. So you're building up
Yep.
muscle and
Mhm.
on top of not hurting yourself in the same aspect of it too. So it's
Yep.
a one-on-one
sure.
gain scenario type deal.
So
My
beyond fitness, to kind of close the circle on this podcast deal, some of the other things that come up too are time. We have a limited amount of time left to hunt. I mean, let's just call it what it is, right? I'm 54 years old. You figure the average male is living to the age of what, 78?
Mm-hmm.
Does that give me 24 years,
Yeah.
right? That's not a lot of time on the grand scheme of things. And then, so how do you balance the time with all these different things and get out there? And then I don't know about you Squatch, but did any of you guys start getting in the points game early in life?
like points out.
Not myself. No, I haven't, because I've mostly
Right.
always hunted out this way, not really, but I'm going to look into doing it, more. So
I'd put it out to the chat. How many of those guys that are out there that are, older than 40, let's say, have started getting points in places like Wyoming or Montana or Kansas or Iowa or Ohio, whatever it is that
Yeah.
what your game is. But there's not many of us that did that, because really it wasn't on our radar, and there wasn't internet, right?
Right.
So you had to sort through all these booklets and all these regulations to try to sort out, how to even apply. It was just kind of a general pain in the ass. So a
Yeah.
lot of us, myself included, didn't get involved. And so there's hunts I'd like to do that I'll never catch up on. I'll give you an
Mhm.
example. I've been putting in for antelope points in Oregon. One of the things I just love to hunt is antelope. I've been putting in for points in an antelope for quite a while, but I can't catch it.
Hmm.
So this year I finally decided, I've got enough points to draw a doe tag. And so screw it. I'm going to put in for the doe tag and go out there with my black powder and on a rifle hunt and make it a little bit more difficult and go out and enjoy it.
Yeah.
The average life expectancy of a male is 75.6 years.
Oh, thanks, Brett. Fuck off. I've got
What was it? 75.6?
75.6.
Yeah.
Oh,
So he
that's
just
great.
shaved 3 years off my hunting. Right there.
So I've got basically a bovine, a little less than a bovine lifetime to live to hunt. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got
A quarter century really isn't a
40
lot
years.
a quarter century isn't a lot in the grand scheme. I mean, you look back in my career, I've been doing that a quarter century, and it went by in a flash. So,
Yeah.
And thank you, Brian, for your service.
oh yeah.
Heck yeah. Thanks for your service, brother.
But I also think with the points aspect of it, I mean, really, I didn't know about points because I didn't grow up in that type of family. It was more I was geared towards sports, and then it wasn't something that was like kind of known about or talked about a whole lot. It was just, yeah, let's go hunt in our area. Growing up as a kid, I didn't start learning about points, that you need points to go out of state to hunt, till I was 23, 24 ballpark, when I was like, oh shit, if I want to go hunt Wyoming, you need maybe 6 points or something to get in this area. And I was like, well, fuck. I wish I knew that when I was 10 years old. My dad could start putting points in for my name, and by the time I'm 30, I could be stacked up to a shit ton of points in all these other states. So I'm like, well, fuck, I'm gonna submit now and get my shit
Right.
there. And
And
I think with
all
these
these states have.
podcasts and all these communications, you can push that information out there.
Yeah.
So you've had things that been invented, the hunt and fool, the go hunt, Onyx is using, I think they're using hunt and fool, aren't they? But these different services that are out there that are, are helping educate people. So that's part of it. I'm a pretty fervent user of go hunt myself. For the Western hunting, I think it's probably one of, if not the best. And so I've gotten into the points game, but I mean, I started that 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I'll never catch it on some stuff, right? So going through that with people our age is like, okay, so I want to go hunting every single year. How do I do that? How do I do that and go go play the non-resident game in some places, and what are some cool hunts, and then managing your expectation, right? Everybody wants to go out and shoot a 200-inch mule deer buck, myself included, but it may not happen for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's okay. But if I can go to Wyoming, let's say on 3 points or 4 points, and go hunt a unit that, is maybe a little bit high pressure, or, maybe doesn't have the deer densities, et cetera. You put the work in, going back to fitness and some of these other things, and dedication and grit, determination. And then you can go out on the other end and have a pretty good hunt. That photograph that you have of me was a hunt very much like that in Utah, in a very low density deer unit. I just basically put my nose to the grindstone on.
There's a question.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Brian. No, go ahead, Brett.
No, go ahead, Squatch.
No, I was just gonna. It's better you let him do that, because the one I'm gonna ask is gonna take a little bit. So go ahead.
Oh, my question was just going to ask. Michael's asking you, Brian, if you use cell cams. If so, which kind?
I'll be honest with you guys. I don't use cameras at all. I have never once used a trail camera of any kind.
And I think you and I talked about that. You haven't used those before.
I have not. I have a buddy that uses them in the northern part of the state, where we hunt some whitetails, and honestly, they're pretty handy. I mean, at least he knows what his inventory of whitetail deer are in the places that we hunt.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I get some really sweet pictures out of it.
Mhm.
But in the West Central Mountains, where I hunt in some different places here in Oregon and the Badlands of Montana and some other places, it's just not a thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll ask you one last question, and I'll leave it to Squatch here, because Michael's going to ask at one fucking point tonight, have you
Nope.
tried possum yet? Thank you. There we go.
I was waiting for it.
You put the
Everybody just
possum
get it out of the
box.
open. I mean, because we all ride Michael in like a rented mule on that question
Yeah.
every
Oh,
single week. So.
Yep. Yeah, you do.
And I can't see the chat, so I was hoping it would come up.
I
That's
just
funny.
want to I want to meet the one person that has tried it, and my question is, what got you to the point of trying it? Like, was there nothing else that you could to eat? Because I feel like at that point you're literally eating shit, in my opinion. If you're eating a
I
possum,
gotta think that it's gonna be like eating a rat.
It's
Which
a
I've
rat.
not tried either, but I mean, I don't know, man. I'd be pretty hungry.
It's a big
Yeah.
rat. I
I
mean, if
think
I
I'd
was
rather
starving,
starve.
if I was starving in the woods, it's game on. I'll cook it and figure out some way to make it taste good, but flavor in the
Yeah.
forest, But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I was going to ask you,
Yeah, go for
to get into the little bit of the hunting side of the stuff, I guess do you pursue muleys more than you do whitetail out where you are?
Actually, I bet money it's a 50-50.
Okay, so
I actually hunt whitetails quite a bit.
Okay, so tell us some of your strategies, your setups of what you're doing to get in on. It doesn't matter if it's a whitetail or a mule deer. Let's just say you got a good quality buck. You've seen him around. You're seeing his sign. It's starting to get into the rut, and just tell me how Bitterroot looks for deer sign where you live, and how you go about making your setups. What's your key strategies that you do?
So let's start with let's split that into two.
Okay.
Because let's start with mule deer, because mule deer is a completely different season than the whitetail.
Okay.
We don't get to hunt generally. We don't get to hunt mule deer into the rut at all.
Okay.
So we're hunting them with muzzleloaders and rifles in October generally, when they're already hard-horned and they're brushed up, and so it's a completely different animal.
Right.
So for mule deer on those hunts, I'm spot and stock. So I'm going to backpack myself into a mountain someplace to get as big a field of view as I possibly can, and I'll sit there all day, multiple days, if I'm seeing deer.
So you're glassing, not to interrupt you, but you're glassing. What kind of glass are you using to scope this stuff out with?
Currently, I have the Vector X made by Vectronics, Saffron
Okay.
Vectronics.
Cool.
And it's a 12 by 42 glass with a set of doubling lenses. So I get to what's actually 1.7, but so I get to about 18 power, and I put those on a tripod and I glass with those.
Nice.
So, and I I'll run that and basically kind of like doing marksmanship kind of stuff. I'll draw the area when I'm looking at, and I'll range some different stuff. And so I know what I'm looking at, know the different pieces of terrain and feature that I'm looking at, know how far away it is. I'll upload it on to my mapping system. And then, so I'll kind of have a picture of what that area looks like.
Yeah.
And I'll pick every piece, you know, I glass pretty methodically, and I'll glass for hours and hours and hours on end. I'm ADHD, but when you set me behind a set of binoculars, I can actually focus. But as I think it's busy work.
Yeah.
You're constantly moving, even though it's in small bits and pieces.
Right.
And so I put tripod on a pan head, and I'll just literally pick an entire mountain apart piece by piece for hours.
So let me interrupt you a little bit. When you're doing that and you're focusing on that distance, are you saying to yourself, well, okay, I just saw that, you know, monster. I want to get down and get after him. You obviously have to know what your limitations are and how fast you can get on that animal once you spot it.
Yep.
You know, I mean, is that something what you're doing, or are you just kind of like, well, I'll get to him tomorrow. I know he's in that general area. You know, how do you go about with that, you know?
Yeah. So, again, if it's morning and I've got a buck located, but basically I'll bed him.
Yeah.
I'll put him to bed, and then I'll figure out how to get to a place where I can get inside of his bedding area and take a shot from there, just like you would. Honestly, it's not too dissimilar from archery hunting in that aspect, just from a little bit longer distances.
Yep.
So I'll get into these areas and I'll sit and wait for him to get up and move and feed in the evening. If it's evening and we have time to get to where they are, I'll go. I'll put the pack on and I'll ask. But if we don't have time, again, it's the same thing. They're not going to bed necessarily, or they might, but you're going to basically put them to dark. They're going to be in a geographic spot. When I put them to dark, I'll go back to camp, and then we'll go right back into that spot where we last saw them the night before.
Right.
And hopefully they're back in that same spot again. We'll already have everything picked out, so we'll know kind of what our ambush looks like when it comes. Hopefully, knock on wood, everything goes perfectly.
Yeah. Nice.
My question.
So, go ahead.
My question to kind of piggyback off of that, and it was just kind of a comment that Michael's asking. He's asking what do you use for a stand wise? And mine was kind of piggyback off of that. Do you have like a mobile type setup or a permanent stand setup, or is it just ground and pound all the way around?
I've got a butt pad made by Ryan Lampers with Stealthy Hunter, if you're familiar.
Okay.
I don't think so.
It's a really pretty sweet foam pad, but that's covered in some waterproof stuff, and it's a glassing pad is what it is. So you basically park your keister on that on the side of a mountain and glass. I've got a very lightweight carbon fiber tripod and a very lightweight pan head. Like the pan head that I use is like 4 ounces. And I use this glass with these doubling lenses on it. I don't even really carry a spotting scope anymore unless we're going to be someplace where we're going to be glassing a long ways. So I try to go. So there's 2 things. So let me go back a little bit, Squatch, for you.
Yeah.
If we're backpacking in, I'm taking this gear that as light as I possibly can. And so I'm probably not going to have a spotting scope and whatnot, right? But if we're front country camping, and I can have the spotting scopes and different things, and I don't have all my gear and my life and my food and my camp and my back, I can afford a little bit more weight in some of these different tools in my pack. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of depends on where what the hunt entails. But usually we'll glass for hours. I'll find a place, park my keister, and we'll sit and glass with the glass and the tripod for hours. I bring a jet boil and a coffee. I got a titanium coffee cup, and we'll sit and drink coffee all day long.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And then to move on, Squatch, for you on the whitetails.
Yeah.
So we get to hunt whitetails. Yeah, we get to hunt whitetails into some units. Some places we go all the way into December here.
Right.
And we get 1 tag.
Okay.
So we get whitetails. It's an either sex tag. So, but we only get 1. So I'm usually out looking for a decent buck, and we're hunting in pretty heavy country. So I do quite a bit of still hunting through the timber.
Okay.
We don't hunt out of trees a lot here, but we can.
Yeah.
Which ultimately, Brett, you and I've been talking to that whole tree saddle thing
Mhm.
set up, that XOP thing we've been talking about. I've been doing some research on that. That actually might benefit us out here in the West.
Well, that was going to
Looking
be
at
my question. Well, first off, I didn't realize deer could identify as either sex, so that's kind of new
oh
information
yeah,
for me.
we're on the
So
West Coast. It's all good.
exactly, you're on the West
Yeah.
Coast, so a buck
Mhm.
could identify as a chick, and a chick identifies a buck.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm learning
Yeah.
fucking everything these days.
Yeah.
Like
It's funny
Squatch
when
could
it's great.
identify as a chick one day,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I'll
Oh,
still support you, Squatch.
Hey, I want you to know that I appreciate that, and if I ever decided to go that route, I think I might be able to do better than you, but
I
we'll
don't
see.
think you could do better than me, though.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
I
I think I'm the apex of it all.
I'm Brett Bovin.
Perfect.
But do you think a mobile hunting set from like XOP, because like we said when we announced it, you and I were talking about more and more,
Mhm.
and I know you and Dave were talking about it a lot too.
Yep. I
Do
was
you
talking to Dave quite a bit.
do you think a mobile hunting set from XOP would help you out, but also help Western hunters out there out west?
I think so, especially when you're talking about some of these. We don't have the rainforest necessarily that they've got on the West Coast of like Oregon and Washington, right? Where Johnny's going this fall.
Mhm.
But we have some very dense pine and spruce forests in the northern part of the state, particularly. It does not have a lot of open a lot of openings, open country, unless it's clear cut.
Mhm.
Timberlands. And so because of that, if you can get into some areas that are pretty dense, you can get up a little bit up in the air in a tree. You can see, a fair piece in some of those places from up above.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
I
mean,
hunt.
what might benefit you? It just popped into my head, and if I was in that situation, and you got somebody that you're out there hunting with in a spot and stalk situation, if somebody
Mhm.
was up high in the tree glassing, and I mean, I saddle hunt. You can literally sit there, man, and just put your face in the tree. You can put your arms there and stay real steady, and glass left and right.
Yeah.
And you're talking to somebody, texting them, saying, "Hey, you know what? I see a good buck. Get on your feet and get going."
Yeah.
It might benefit you guys just to scope out stuff right out of that tree, man. I can't imagine it wouldn't hurt you at
Yeah.
all.
And in full disclosure, I actually shot my very first critter of any kind out of a tree this last fall. That whitetail buck I shot in northern Idaho this past season. That big 5 point was out of a stand. I'd never done it before, and he presented a front shot. He actually hit a rub
Mhm.
and immediately walked to his scrape and his licking branch and hit that, and then he turned and had a frontal shot, and I put him on the ground at 70 yards with my muzzleloader. It was fun.
Beautiful,
It was
beautiful.
different kind of hunt for me. It was a lot of fun because generally those squash when we're hunting that stuff, I'm doing a bunch of still hunting,
Yeah,
and then I hunt the edge country quite a bit. So in these clear cut timbers and these small clears and different things, I'm going to hunt all those edges,
cool.
early morning and late evening.
Yep, that's perfect. That's a good setup. Um,
So
Another question for you: in let's say your whitetail, ventures with what you're doing, what
uh,
is your food source that you're concentrating on out there to get on some of these deer?
yeah. So again, we're hunting the mountain bucks, right? And you guys did you have Troy on?
Troy
Yeah,
Pottinger?
Yeah, Troy Pottinger.
Yeah, he was episode 44, I think.
Yeah, so Troy, he's super good, like really good at this stuff.
Mhm.
But so we're looking at forbs, um,
Yep.
stuff that roots and different things that come out of the ground in these mountain bucks. Um, yeah, all the late season stuff, some of your onions, that kind of stuff that's grown out of the late stuff's coming out of the ground. We don't have food plots or anything like that, right? So they're basically scraping up what's left.
Okay.
Some of the bitter brush, mountain mahogany.
Yeah.
They're big into the mahogany and the bitter brush, and that's both species actually.
Okay.
So those are kind of the pockets I'm looking for.
Nice.
Well,
Nice.
now, since you're out there in Idaho, what would a hunter? So we're out there. We have a successful hunt. Now, talking to you, it sounds like Dave's going to beat me to the punch, and he's going to get out there next year.
Yeah, he's coming next year.
Yeah, that fucker. I can't get out there till 2027. That dickbag.
Yeah.
So I just want to punch him in his non-existent balls. Just like,
It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. I'll be honest. So.
So Dave has a successful hunt out there.
Mm-hmm.
What are going to be the requirements for him heading back home? Like, what's he going to need? Is he going to need a giant cooler for the meat? If he I'm assuming he's going to get a taxidermy to get mounted. We're all like the steps that you can think of that he's going to need to know to get back home to Michigan.
So that's a good question, and a little bit loaded too, because every state's a little bit different. But for Idaho, and I'm going to assume, how's Michigan with chronic wasting? Let's start there.
We had one outbreak last year, I think, but we're pretty good with it, I believe.
Yeah. What's the Fish and Game? What's their whatever game fish department? What's their rules with bringing heads back and stuff?
They had to be tested, but I can't remember exactly. So don't quote me though. I haven't read that in a while.
So, for example, Idaho won't let you bring the head back in. No part of the head or the spine or anything that had any type of spinal fluid at all is allowed back in unless it's already been cooked out.
Okay.
So, for example, my Utah buck, I shot that one that you have the photo of. I actually left it with a taxidermist in Utah to have him do it because I didn't have the facilities or anything to boil that head out to get that skull back and the hide. And I don't have I personally am pretty good at skinning stuff, but I haven't had a lot of experience doing around the eyes and stuff, and I didn't want to screw that hide up. So I took it to somebody local.
So I have questions about that. So it looks like Dave caught me on the. So I was right. It's CWD is not bad. Now it's EHD. So yes, but it has to be brought in to get tested, and if it comes out of state,
right?
And he says yes, have to cook it here. So it looks like you had to cook your deer and get everything done there in Utah before you could bring it back home.
If I wanted to bring the head and the cape back for taxidermy, I would have had to completely take the cape off of the skull.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ahead of time, and then cut the skull cap off and cook that off, get all that material out of it, and get rid of the rest of it to get it back into Idaho.
Yeah.
I assume because Michigan's fucking liberal. I'm assuming we'd have to do the same thing out of state before we bring it back home.
I would think. So there's that, right? I'm learning. I'm getting better at some of that stuff. I think if I shoot another one out of state, I'll go ahead and do that and go ahead and trim the eyes. The only thing that really bothers me is around the eyes.
Yeah, it's very thin. Very thin.
Yeah, it's very thin, and if you screw it up, you're done, right? So, but at the time, I didn't have that skill set, at least not good enough for a really nice buck. So, I just had a taxidermist in Utah do it.
Yeah.
And so I got to go down there and pick it up. But for Dave, when he comes out, if he shoots a good bull, we'll take it for him to make sure that he's good for Michigan. We'll take it to a buddy of mine, lives a little bit south of us. That's a taxidermist, and I'll have him cape it out for him. So he'll bring the head and cape back. So it'll be all legal for him to get the horns and all that stuff back to a taxidermist back your way.
Sweet.
As far as meat goes, grab the what we've done in the past, because we hunt all over the place too. And I buy those rotary motor coolers. I don't put brand X here. It doesn't matter. Right. But, we'll leave them empty, but they're cold. I'll drop some dry ice in them while we're gone or while we're hunting, so they stay good and cold. And then we'll get the meat. I have a cooler at my house, so I have a walk-in meat cooler. So we get the meat all good and cooled off and aged. Once that's done, we'll freeze it, and then I'll put it in the ice chest with him with some more dry ice and a towel, and top and bottom so it convects, and it'll stay frozen all the way home.
That's fucking genius level right there.
Yeah, so we did that with some deer out of California. We hunted some blacktails down there, and they were cold, good and cold, but they weren't frozen when we left. But we had enough good convection in those big, good coolers that they were not quite froze, but they were not quite thawed out when they got home. So
Dave said, "I'm just gonna hide in the back of my truck and drive it like I stole it."
yeah, no, I got a buddy. Jory will take care of us. Jory Hearn's his name. He's got a taxidermy shop just south of town, so he'll square us away. No big deal.
You're gonna eat the whole thing.
He
At your
said,
place.
we're just gonna eat the whole thing at your place."
He has no idea. If we
That's
shoot
gonna
a
be
good
a lot
bull,
of
you're
meat.
looking at 800-900 pounds, bud.
Yeah.
So you're looking to take 300 plus pounds of meat home in a cooler.
Yeah. So, Root, let me ask you this one now. How is it
Amen.
with predators where you're at and where you're hunting? What's your predator intrusion like there? What animals are we looking at that's gonna bother you while you're out hunting, or you got a deer down and maybe you got to leave it overnight? What kind of stuff do you run into?
So fortunately, I live in free America, and so we don't have a lot of restrictions as far as our predators go,
Yep.
the exception of the grizzly bear.
Okay.
Good news is where I hunt and where I live predominantly, I do hunt grizzly country, but where Dave's coming, we don't
Mhm.
have them here. So, but black bears are hunted spring and fall. Coyotes are hunted year round. Mountain lions had a season on them until this year.
Oh, really?
And the
Wow.
fishing game had different units that were year round and some that weren't. And so fishing game has basically made it a year-long season. So it's July 1st to June 30th, I think is what they did statewide.
Okay.
All the same rules still apply. It's just open year round. And we can hunt with dogs. Hold on. Anything you want to do, we do here, right?
Right.
And then also we'll have wolves here, and we do bump into them occasionally, but they are also hunted and trapped in Idaho, and the population is kept in check. So,
Cool.
do we have predators? Sure. Do they
Yep.
have predation on deer and elk, particularly in the spring? Yeah, we get some predation on calves and fawns in the spring for sure.
Nice.
But I don't. I mean, the Idaho, every fish and game agency has its issues, right? But I'll be honest, Idaho, by and large, does a pretty good job, I think.
Mhm.
Idaho manages their game as an opportunity state,
Okay.
not necessarily as a trophy state, I guess, as it
Yeah.
were.
Right.
So there's good bucks and bulls to be had here, but you're looking at more opportunity. So they want guys and girls to be able to go out hunting and not just. So there's and I know there's some non-residents out there that are probably screaming bloody murder at me because the way Idaho's system right now for them sucks ass. I get it. Yes, Idaho's system sucks ass, but there are plenty of tags out there available.
Yes, Michael, we do see I see your question there. I'll get to it here in a second. I know I was talking to what's his name? Brian from Idaho when we were covering that long ago. And he was basically I believe it's in all the states that you can't hunt grizzlies.
Yeah.
He was talking about this a story where this guy, he shot this grizzly in self-defense and it was point blank. Like he let it get like basically within a foot of him and eventually just shot him like three or four times, something like that. And they're getting ready to charge the motherfucker. And basically he was saying, it's like, it's no point of even calling it in. Just take your stuff, hide it up, because you're basically screwed at that point if you get caught killing a grizzly out of non-self-defense. And it's hard to prove self-defense in that type of situation.
Yeah, it's a thing because they're federally protected, right? So it's not because the Idaho Fish and Game, it's really not it's really not their say in some of that stuff. So you definitely have a larger burden of proof when you come up against them, right? So I go into grizzly country quite a bit. There's some places I go where they are. I carry a handgun with some buffalo bore, cast lead bullets specifically for bears. But I also carry a can of bear spray. So
Mhm.
I have both options available to me. And, we all say, we're all talk big, right? But, I'm going to try to use the bear spray first. And that's basically as a result of the Fish and Wildlife Service and not wanting to get it crammed up my ass sideways. So
But
I
have you
just,
seen that? Have you
he's got
seen
a
that?
point over there in the grizzly bears. It's a bad deal.
Have you seen that video that was leaked? I think it was from Alaska, where it was this guy. He posted a trail camera right in front of his food plot, and it's just like this 30,000-pound grizzly bear that just was like built like a fucking semi truck, just walking
Yep.
up.
Yeah.
Imagine that coming at you. My first
Yeah.
instinct isn't to grab my pussy bear spray. I'm grabbing my
Yeah,
gun.
no, I
Shoot
grant
this
you that.
motherfucker.
Right. Have you seen any of uh, Stuck in the Rut guys? Have you watched any of their stuff?
No,
No,
I haven't.
it's
I
not.
haven't.
Okay, they're a little bit north of me, but they hunt in Alaska quite a bit. And his sister, and then we're hunting mountain goats in Alaska, and they had a confrontation with a grizzly bear that about went pear shaped, like fast.
Wow.
It's on video. It's pretty intense video. If you guys get a chance to watch it, it's like.
Is it as
But
bad as that one guy that lived up there in Alaska? What's his name? I'm
What a
drawing a
nut
blank.
job.
That guy with the long blonde hair. I want to say it was Chris or something.
Yeah,
He
his
lived
name was
up
the guy
there.
who decided he was going to live with them and got eaten.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it caught on video. I mean, not video, but audio at least.
Yeah,
Of him screaming for life and his girlfriend screaming for life as they ate him to death.
Yeah, his name was Dinner.
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
that, as we call, is natural selection, guys.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Natural
that's a good
selection.
point.
So, but yeah, no, Stuck in the Rut guys have a really good video on that. If you ever have a chance to go look at it, it's like, but in Alaska, interestingly enough, I have a buddy that lives up there. I hunt with quite a bit, and he says the grizzlies are hunted, really hard,
They are.
frequently up there,
Mhm.
and they'll turn in people. They're like, yeah, I don't think so. They'll generally go the other way, or a lot of times will, with the
Mhm.
exception of Kodiak. That's a different animal because they're bigger and meaner. But he said the black bears don't give a shit.
Nope.
He'd been mauled by a black bear hunting up there, and he said the black bears are meaner than hell. So
They did statistics that the occurrence of an attack from a black bear is more than a grizzly.
I believe that.
Because it's just black bear inhibited so much more ground than where
Much more
people are
property.
actually
Right.
having, grizzly attacks. People run into black bears. The only difference is they tell you to fight your ass off with a black bear. They tell you to play dead with a grizzly, and you're
Dave
pretty
would,
much going to be dead if you
yep,
are
Dave
up
would
against
agree with
it.
that. Yeah, my
So
buddy Dave would agree with that one. Like I said, he got mauled pretty good years ago.
yeah,
I've never been to Alaska, so I don't know. But
yeah,
in the lower 48, the grizzlies aren't hunted, so they're not really all that concerned
yeah.
about us.
The funny
I
thing
was
too that they run into in Alaska with guides flying people in on a super cub and stuff. A lot of people that haven't been there before bring in bear spray. And think about it. You've got bear spray on a personal plane and you're sitting 2 feet away from the pilot and you have a boo-boo up there.
Mhm.
You and the plane are going down. So now the guides request that you put it in a container outside of the plane. They'll take it from you before you get on, and they have a thing outside the plane, and then when you land, they'll hand it back to you and say, good luck.
Makes sense.
But
I don't.
I guess
That
they
makes
had some
sense.
I guess they had some pretty bad. Oops, what was
Well,
that?
anytime you get pepper spray of any kind out, I mean, if you in my
No.
line of work, you spray one, you spray all. You put it out there, everybody gets it. It's
Everybody
terrible
gets
stuff.
it. Yeah, and can you imagine on a windy day, you got a grizzly bear you're being approached by, you spray it, gets in
It comes
your
in your
eyes,
face.
all you did was just season yourself up nice for him to have,
Yeah,
a
it's-
spicy
goes
Italian guy
nicely
like
with
me,
nicely with eggs too. Right.
I've been pepper sprayed, and I know
Not
for a
enough.
fact most likely
Not
Brian
nearly
has.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I pepper sprayed someone in one of our padded cells, and we went in there like within a second later, and getting pepper sprayed sucks.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I don't to put yourself in that type of situation, because it was always talked about, if you're gonna use pepper spray, make sure out in the field,
Mhm.
in law enforcement field, to be careful about it because you run the risk of getting it in your face and just a whole bunch of scenarios. You get a little glimpse of pepper spray in your face, you're basically done for unless you prepare yourself off your ass in those type of
Yeah.
situations.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're out there in the field and you got a grizzly bear and you accidentally get that grizzly shit, I'm assuming, into you, fuck that.
You're done. You're done.
And then
Yep.
I was reading that like in Wyoming, the point I was trying to say with that is I think Wyoming there's like 3,000 grizzlies up there or something, and there needs to be like around 100 ballpark or something like that. So I'm curious. I don't know why, but I want to know why grizzlies aren't hunted here in the lower 48.
Well, they're still on the endangered
And
species.
that's
list.
right. Yeah, but I figured you can't hunt one.
Yeah,
I don't know.
again,
I thought they were getting off the endangered species list, though. I thought they were very close to it.
Yeah, I think we were pretty close last year to it, but you know, I mean, obviously politics being what they are, et cetera, and I think there were some lawsuits involved in that, and it kind of just pumped the brakes. I personally would like to see the current administration and the Forest Service chief or the Department of Agriculture chief and some of the different folks, Fish and Wildlife, put their heads together and get these bears off the Endangered Species Act. I'll be honest. We did it with wolves, and now we have a management program that's very successful in Montana, Wyoming, and Idaho, regulating the population of wolves throughout, with the exception of Yellowstone Park. I think the same could be done for sure in Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho under the same exact footprint, the same map. Let's do the same basic thing.
Right.
The problem you're going to have is you're going to have your Oregons, your Washingtons, your Californias that may or may not sign on to that.
And the problem is, what's the fucking point when they it has nothing to do with them? That's like when we have wolf problems up in the UP and we're asking people in Detroit, well, what do you guys think we need to do with the wolf population up in the Upper Peninsula? Why the fuck's the matter to them? It doesn't affect them in any way.
Yeah.
It's no different than like when they friggin' talk about on like save the freaking planet and all this shit. Let's put money out towards a koala bear. When's the last time you see one of them?
Well, so
panda.
Yeah, and so I mean I'll go down this. I'll go down the yellow brick road with you guys on this.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that all the folks that are opposed to, and right now the bear hunting, black bear hunting is on mountain lions. Obviously, the thing in Colorado this past year, Prop 127, right? You guys heard about that? Yes, no?
I have. Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So that they're cute little cuddly bears and they're cute little cuddly kitties, and they're not. They eat everything, frankly. And the challenge that we have is, or the argument is, well, if we just let them go and we stop hunting, and then the populations will manage themselves. I mean, that's not the case. That may have been the case in 1830, when there was absolutely zero population, with the exception of some trappers in the mountains, and the indigenous Indian population in the United States. Now we have metropolitan centers like Denver, Colorado Springs, Boise, Idaho, Billings, Montana, Bozeman, all these, you name it, put a name to it, where all these migration routes and all these animals have now been impacted, and their winter grounds and their summer grounds, all these different things have been impacted by us. So we, under the North American model, have to continue to manage both predator and prey species for the betterment of those species, both of them, predator and prey. If we're going to have any critters on the landscape for people to watch and people to hunt and people to do anything else with, it has to be done. That the North American model of conservation is very clear on this and has worked for 100 years. So the grizzly bear is no exception to that. I do think the Trump administration will get this moved forward. It's up to them to do it, and it's not going to come without lawsuits, because that's just what happens. But I think it'll get done.
I sure hope he gets through on the constitutional carry, because this state-to-state crap is just ridiculous.
It is.
It's ridiculous.
It is. It looks like though, you guys on the wolf side, it looks like you guys are going to be in on the management plan now. I see some news that
For
Probably
the
you.
eastern states are going to have the wolves coming in out of Canada, et cetera, are going to have some sort of management plans coming.
oh yeah, I've been
So
hearing more and more rumbles that there's going to be some type of season put into place.
yeah,
Like,
because they're being delisted,
Mhm.
across the board. And so as that happens, each state will have the opportunity to put their management plan in place and start controlling those numbers.
But
So
like Dave says, they're talking about it, but who the fuck knows? Like it's
I think there's so the thing in Colorado, the Prop 127 on the mountain lines was a kind of a it transcended party, it transcended age group, it transcended a lot of different things in Colorado, and people figured out pretty quickly that maybe this isn't what is being told to us. Maybe this isn't just cute, cuddly little critters. Um, and people have decided that management of this stuff is necessary. The voters in Colorado have had some buyer's remorse on the wolf legislation they let pass a couple of years ago. There's some data on that. If you listen to Dan Gates at all,
Mhm.
he's got some pretty interesting insight into a lot of that. Um, and in Idaho and Montana and Wyoming, we've been managing the wolf predators for quite some time, and like I said, very successfully. I might add, we have very good, stable populations in all three states. Um, we don't. It's not like we hate wolves. I don't. I think they're cool. I
Mhm.
think they're a cool animal, but everything has to be, kept at a moderate level.
Right.
Deer and elk species too. So in my area right now, um, they're looking at they did some fly numbers and some different things and looking at elk particularly, and they found a pretty significant not overpopulation, but they're significantly over their target population numbers right now in a couple of areas that I live near. And they're going to do some management to bring that number back in line with what their objective is.
Hmm.
Right. So there's going to in some areas there's going to be a lot more tag opportunity, and in other places in Idaho where the population is under objective, they're going to reduce the number of tags. So the predator and prey population is the same thing. It's all part of that management system.
Yeah. And I think a lot of places they need to, like, at least here in Michigan, you need to look at other states and how they do things.
Mhm.
How can you take the blueprint of what they're doing and try to improve it in your own state in your own way? At
Mhm.
least just looking at it like, all right, this is what they're doing on every level. How can we implement one little thing into our own game here in the state? Let me just say, how can we take what you guys are doing out in Idaho and implement something here in Michigan, make it better?
Yeah.
I think
And
there
then
should be a lot of more communication, more open line between states and just,
I
no,
can't speak for the East, right? Because I just don't know.
right.
But I do know that most of the states in the West, as far as their management and some different things, the agencies communicate.
Mhm.
They do some work, collaborative work on, and they have meetings and different things. So deer and elk species and antelope, bears, et cetera. They're doing. Again, I know there's going to be some people out there that are just going to scream my name in vain out there, but I think the game agencies they're doing okay, right? I
Mhm.
think they're doing okay. I don't. Um, can we be better? Sure. But are they horrible? No, I don't. I don't think so. Um, with the exception of Utah right now, which kicked us in the teeth with a 100% increase in
Yeah, I
tags and
saw that.
licenses.
Yeah.
But
That's insane.
it is what it is, and they're not. They've sent emails out to us that said they're not implementing those changes immediately, but they will at some point. They've left the door open for it.
So there's a
Um,
couple questions here
yeah, go for it.
from Michael.
Oh, Michael,
You
let's
might
have it.
want to, yeah, I know.
I can't believe Michael has questions. That's not like him.
Well, honestly, I'm surprised he hasn't texted me them at this point, but that's fine.
He's been bugging me saying like, "Oh, you're just ignoring my questions." I'm like, "No,
Well,
Michael, I have
I'm
a show
ignoring
to
my
run.
I'm
Be
ignoring my
patient,
phone, Michael.
you little shit."
Yeah.
Oh, where's
Well,
this
and
question?
for those folks that don't know, the group of us that are all the three of us are here, and then Dave and Johnny and little Michael give each other a ration of shit on a fairly frequent basis on this group chat, and it's actually pretty amusing.
Yep, we do.
It's a lot harsher than what we portray, and also harsher than what we would dish out to everyone that watches and fan of the show.
Oh yeah, the things on
So,
the chat, not on the show. No.
his first question is, what is your favorite hunting rifle to use, brand and caliber?
Okay, for a rifle, like a centerfire rifle.
Yeah.
That's what.
Okay.
Yeah.
I currently shoot a Seekins Havoc in 6.5 PRC that I have outfitted with a benchmark carbon barrel, and it's suppressed. And if I'm going to hunt with a centerfire rifle, it will be that one. That's the one I'll pull out of the cabinet first.
Nice.
And with you being law enforcement, he's asking, you're allowed to carry in all 50 states, correct? Same as my dad.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
There are
I
some
told him that.
limitations, but yeah.
You still have to abide by all the other state laws, general carry.
Yeah.
concealed carry
So
weapons,
for example, you can't take a suppressor into California. It doesn't matter who you are, that kind of thing, right? There's some things that you can and can't do, but yeah. And that will continue after retirement as a retired officer. So I'll have a little carrying card and a badge says I'm retired. I get to carry stuff. So
here's the next question. Oh my gosh.
let's have it. It's Michael. I'm good.
How do all of you guys feel about lesbians, LGBTQ people being cops? I've worked with some of them. I don't give a fuck.
It doesn't. There's zero issue there for me. It don't matter. I really don't care. Put Michael at ease on some of this stuff. I don't care who you are. I really don't. I don't care who you love. I don't care. I don't.
I don't care that Dave's a lesbian.
He's a lesbian trapped in a man's body. Is what he is.
Yes, I am too.
That's it.
So it doesn't matter. I don't give a shit.
I really.
It doesn't matter.
If you're working in law or just in general, if that's what you are, just in general, okay. I'll make fun of motherfuckers all day, left and right. It's the people that make fun of that are out there. Like I post on my personal Facebook page where they're out there doing pony competition shit and human puppies rolling around on a mat. I'll make fun of you people, but if you're gay and lesbian or whatever the case may be, I just don't give a fuck. But I'm gonna make fun of it if I see a video of it. Don't get me wrong. And I've worked with some lesbians and some gay people in law enforcement. The only time I ever had issues with them is when it came to politics, and I'm not going to get onto that part of it in the show. But outside of that you're going to have that with anybody. But honestly, I just worked with them, and there was no anything differently when I went to a call or anything in those regards. That's not the first thing I would think of. Well, I got the fucking lesbian coming behind me, or I got the gay dude coming right there. I don't give two fucks. I got backup coming, and thank fucking God.
Yeah.
All right, so
they're my brothers and sisters. I like I said, I don't give a damn who you love. I was in favor of getting marriage legalized because if they're gonna be married, they should have health benefits. You know what I mean? I don't.
If they want to be in the misery like we are, then fuck it. Then join the party.
I just don't give a shit. I really don't. I don't care for some of the. I don't care for targeting our kids on some of this stuff. That's kind of where I draw the line. But that's really not. That's not the LBGT community. That's the LBGQ.
Mhm.
Like in Colorado, they just posted. I think it was they're forcing. I can't remember exactly, but they're forcing it to be taught in schools. And if the parents don't agree to it or bend at the will with the teachings of it and the schools, then they have the right to take your kids away
Yeah.
Yeah.
in
I
Colorado.
again, I live in free America. We don't have those issues here, and if you don't give a shit who you're married to, I don't care.
Mhm.
And we really don't have a whole lot of that garbage going on in our schools here. We just don't. So
Good. Well, Brian, we're wrapping up here with the rapid fire segment. It's been awesome leading up to this point. Don't get me wrong. Squatch, do you have any other questions for Brian before we get up into the rapid fire segment?
The only thing I was gonna just bring up real quick, I was just curious if he bow hunts out there.
I don't. I used to.
You a pussy.
I had a injury to both eyes, and I had my lenses replaced.
Okay.
And
Oh, I'm a
so as a
dick.
result, I can't see it. Not only do I have the old man glasses,
Yeah,
but I don't have the ability to focus up close, so I can't see the pins. So I switched to black powder hunting years after that.
gotcha.
So that's kind of my archery, I'll be honest. And so I do most of my hunting nowadays is with some form of a muzzleloader.
Okay, cool.
I take back what I said then. Michael's asking if I can show my gun since I'm working out. Maybe next show, brother. Dave's got a question for you. Ask Brian about his badass new pack he got for his hunting trip.
Oh, yeah, it's probably the same one we're gonna have Dave get too. I'll be honest. I just picked up an Exo Mountain Sports K4.
Mm.
I have a Nimrod Outdoors pack right now. That's a carbon fiber pack that I've loved, and I've had it for the last 5 years. And then my middle child decided he wanted to take it, and did. So I started doing some looking around, and I ended up talking with Steve over at Exo, and he set me up with this spec. So it's a 3500. It's 5.6 pounds complete with a gun scabbard and the bag and the accessory pouch and the Nalgene bottle holder.
Mhm.
It's yeah, it's pretty well done. It's got a gigantic belt on it, gigantic pad on it. And because they're in the Boise area, I was down there for a class, and I went into the shop, and they had their guys fit me in it, and everything else it's pretty bitching.
Here's Squatch. Dave has a Dora the Anal Explorer pack. That's
Wouldn't it be a Diego pack at that point?
that was a good one, Squatch. Dave says I got two of them.
Yeah.
One for him and one for Johnny. Oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah, so
then.
I've been talking to Dave about make sure he's got the right pack when we get out there, because you gotta have something that's gonna pack meat out. Because
Dude, you better have oxygen in that motherfucker for
Yeah,
him.
that dude might die in the
Need it.
first
Uh,
mile hike.
So here's the good news for Dave. I mean, I guess what's your elevation where you guys are at?
Shitty. Like none.
Like none.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's basically zero.
he's gonna want to. Yeah, it'll be a little bit of an adjustment, but I'm not gonna have him much above 6,800, 7,000 feet. I'll be honest.
Mm.
Oh, I wouldn't be killing him.
So it won't
Dave
be
get in
horrible.
shape. Dave get in shape. Anyways, Brian, besides hunting, do you have any other hobbies or interests?
Yeah, my kids and my family.
Cool.
If I'm not hunting, I'm trying to spend as much time with all those folks as I can. And unfortunately, my kids and stuff are spread out across the four winds right now. But we do try. My wife and I get together and do try. That's kind of my thing. I do some precision rifle competitions here and there.
Nice.
But yeah, outside of hunting and fitness, really, my passion is my family. So
That's
What
great.
animal is on your bucket list to hunt?
can I have two?
Yeah, you can have two.
All right. First and foremost, I really want to hunt a mountain lion, and I want to hunt a mountain lion with somebody that's got dogs, and I want to do it with my black powder rifle. I haven't been able to put that together yet, but it's like way up high on my bucket list of things to do.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, again, this twofold. I'm really want to go hunt a Sitka blacktail in Alaska.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and conversely, like the exact polar opposite of that, a Coues whitetail in the south.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I haven't heard anyone say cues. I think that's a first.
Coues deer.
Yeah, no, I think that's a first on the show.
Yeah, it depends on. It's kind of like tomato or tomato. Some people call it cows because I think the person who found was actually his name was pronounced cows.
Oh, really?
But like the Americans that we are, we butchered it and call it Coues deer now, so it's fine.
Well, Brett, you were meaning like as a trophy, though, right? With that, or were you just talking about the pronunciation?
What?
I said about the Coues deer. Did you mean nobody's had said that before, like as a trophy to go after, or do you mean the pronunciation of it?
Oh, like the I see what you're saying. The actual hunting of it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, I want to get both of those done. I really want.
Fuck you, Dave.
What did he say?
He's saying Brett's fucking lost. You dick. I wasn't sure exactly. Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah. What is an animal you want to try eating?
Mountain lion, for sure. By no question.
Here, it's awesome.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard, and everybody I've listened to and everybody I've talked to said it's fan-freaking-tastic, and that's and that's my thing. Yeah, that's what I want to do. So
I'd love to try a mountain. I've been asking that question, and I have yet to come up with an animal that I want to try. But I've been hearing great things about an animal. About mountain lions. I haven't tried elk. No, I take that back. I've tried elk. That's delicious. So I guess my next one will be mountain lion, maybe. Yeah. What has been your favorite state you've hunted?
I'm going to say, even though they kicked us in the teeth with their rate increases, I had a blast when I hunted Utah a couple years ago. I had a ball. It was a muzzleloader hunt. It was late September, early October. I hunted an area that was pretty low pressure, but also very low deer densities. So you weren't seeing tons and tons of deer, but God, this country was spectacular. The people in the town nearby that I was hunting in were fantastic. I don't know. It just the whole experience from start to finish on that deal, including the guy that even took my deer in for taxidermy. If you don't mind, I'll just throw his name out there. But David Butts is his name, and he does a bunch of stuff for Safari Club International and whatnot. I guess he's pretty well known. But he took me and he's like, yeah, bring it to me. I'll take care of you. Nice. So I had a fantastic experience hunting in Utah. Not enough to pay double, but it was fun. It was good.
What is the top state you want to hunt next?
Wyoming.
Wyoming.
Okay. I want to go to Alaska. That was going to be it. Yeah, so I want to go to Alaska and hunt on Sitka blacktail. But the reason why I say Wyoming is because my son-in-law, and my daughter, my youngest daughter, and we have points in Wyoming, and I want to take the kids and do a deer camp. And we're kind of debating on whether we're going to do mule deer or whitetails in Wyoming. We all have enough points. It's kind of one of those things that we're trying to put together a family deal, and Wyoming is going to be where we're going to go.
Well, we had someone on recently that we could help get you hooked up.
We've talked.
Oh, I bet. That's good. Yeah. All right, good.
We've talked. Yeah, we've talked. He's been, actually, I'll be honest with you, he's been super helpful. So
yeah, he's a great guy. He's an awesome
dude. Yeah, very much so. He's a super dude.
For people that don't know, we've been referring to Towson from Wyoming. He was on the show 2 weeks ago, I think. So that's awesome. That
might have been about 3 weeks ago, I think. No.
Yeah,
actually, yeah, you're right.
I reached out to him right after the show, and he's been fun. But yeah,
He's
He's
been
awesome,
asking
yeah.
me. He's been asking me a bunch of questions for the saddle setup with XOP. So
Well,
I rambled off a couple different things for him, and I said, pick something out for the saddle that you think is going to work for you.
yeah.
And when you get your list together, hit me back up, and I'll tell you to go from there. But
Yeah,
it's
and
cool.
I've been talking to Dave and Brett too. Same thing, because I think you guys know I'm headed to Virginia in November
Okay,
for
cool.
an eastern whitetail hunt. So
It's a good place
I
to
got a
go.
buddy.
I'll say this real quick. Dave. The reason we got into XOP is it all started off with Dave, and
Yep.
I was looking at their stuff, and I was also looking at other companies with their satellite equipment stuff. And when I talked to Dave, and him and I were talking more and more about XOP, one factor that stood out to me from their stuff, besides the price point and the quality of work that goes into it and everything with XOP, I saw a photo today of the Hyperlight from Trophy Line.
Mhm.
Their sticks, just like a majority of other sticks, they're so close to the tree that you're basically you're on your tippy toes. And they actually took a photo of it, and it was a great photo. Don't get me wrong, but it was proof that all you're doing is basically just having your tippy toes on it. Compared to the XOP stick, you actually can get all the way up to like the middle of your foot, almost to your heel,
Yeah.
on an
Oh, no
actual
shit.
stick. And so you actually feel like you're on it, not just like, am I barely on the stick?
Yeah, I wouldn't
So
like that at all.
exactly. So you have to take that into account. I wasn't looking at that point when he and I were talking about
Yeah,
stuff, and so that's something amazing about XOP is
yeah. So I'm
that aspect alone.
yeah, I'm certainly in the market because of this thing in Virginia, and that's going to be a backpack hunt into the national forest too. So something like that that's quick and movable would be pretty badass, and then I could turn around and figure out how to use it in our forest up here. So
Mhm. Last two questions. They are very deep questions. If you could pick anybody, you can get a family member and a non-family member to go on a hunting trip with or share a campfire with one time, who would they be?
um oh good. Well, I mean, it's the age old answer, right? The family member would be to bring back my grandfather, who actually got me into this.
Hmm.
He passed away in 1989, and his and my last hunt together, we were on the side of the building. He had a stroke. So if I could have that moment back, and actually have a successful hunt, that would be just freaking awesome. Um, and then Hollywood Dave, he's a guide in Utah and lives out in Nevada. He's a mentor of mine, and we don't get to hunt together just because he's a guide and he's out doing his thing. But if I could go on a hunt with Dave, that would be cat's meow. So
Nice.
Last question. What do you think we as fellow hunters could or should do to improve the hunting community as a whole?
we need to fucking get along.
Mhm.
We need to
Mhm.
quit. We need to quit squawking at each other about rifle hunters are this and bow hunters are that. And muzzleloader guys, you guys are just a bunch of idiots. So, that kind of thing. Is it whitetails or is it mule deer? Who the fuck cares? Get out in the field and go enjoy it. Go enjoy it with your families or enjoy it by yourself. You solo hunt, whatever
Mhm.
the case may be, and quit this infighting amongst ourselves and stuff. I mean, I just get so tired of and social media is going to be the death of us all, to be honest. And it's so rampant across that thing. It's like some of the comments on YouTube on people's stuff. It's like, what purpose does that have? Why are we? Who cares?
Mhm.
I think that's the biggest thing. We need to act as well, I'll go back to the folks that are opposed to the things that we do, and they're a very well funded and very well organized lobby, and they get along.
Uh-huh.
You don't see any infighting amongst the Humane Society of the United States and this other X group. I can't remember the name of them. It's in Colorado right now, off the top of my head, but you don't see them arguing with each other on anything. They work together and they bring in a ton of money to their lobby.
Mhm.
And we can't even decide whether if it's bird hunting or deer hunting or elk hunting or you hunt whitetails in the east. It just on and on and on. I get tired of it.
Mhm.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, people might look at the show and they're like, "Well, oh man, they really hate each other. They're constantly picking on each other, this and that." No, it's not. It's love all the way around with us. That's
Yeah.
brotherhood. It comes hand in hand with that point of it.
Teasing your bros is one thing, but some of the vitriol that's on some of these uh, chat rooms and whatever else, these the comment sections and different things, or on social media, it's just unacceptable. I can't remember exactly what the comment was, but somebody made a comment on I can't think of his name right now, but one of the a pretty preeminent guy, does some stuff, and has some pretty good videos out there. And somebody just ran him over the coals over what he was doing. And I'm like, dude, it was entertaining. He shot a nice buck. Leave it at that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's the trend. It's the number one thing that a lot of people need to do is stop fighting with each other.
yeah, just shut up.
Yeah.
You're all out there doing the same shit. It's just we don't do it exactly the same way. And it's like,
Yeah,
just do your thing, man. Leave people alone. Be happy for them if they're happy, and just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff with people because they're non-resident. I mean, and that's I mean, it's in the same breath of this stuff, but this state doesn't like non-residents from that state. I mean, it's like enough. We're all non-residents somewhere.
True.
We all go other different places, and we're all non-resident. Just anybody that comes to my state that wants to reach out to me, I'm in some different places out there, and I'm not going to go give them no tell them Creek for sure, but I will point guys at least in a direction so that they can at least make themselves successful. If they put the work in with the information I give them, they'll be successful. If they don't put the work in, and it's not like it's a give me. I'm not giving them but I'm certainly giving them some helpful hints, right?
Yeah.
And I get a bunch of guys that text me or email me or send me a message on social media that each year that have been successful in some of these different areas, and they're appreciative of it, and I think that's awesome. So, and again, I'll probably get a whole bunch of hate for letting non-residents come into Idaho and some of our different areas.
Well, people also need to grow the fuck up and be mature.
I got
being
pretty thick
babies.
skin, so I don't give a shit. Whatever. If somebody wants to have some help, come to Idaho and hunt some. I will certainly at least give them some education.
Mm-hmm. Well, Brian, thank you so much for coming on the show, brother. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for being a fan of the show as well. And for anyone that doesn't know, yes, we talk to Brian a lot, just off air too. We text a lot, gives us some information. It's just awesome guy. Like you said, we're in a group text with him as well. And
well, it's Prince. You guys are my friends back east. So
yeah.
And so my home. You guys are welcome in my home to come hunting anytime. So.
Su casa is su casa.
Yeah, for sure.
Brian, how can people want to reach out to you and follow along your journey? How can they do that?
Social media. I'm on Instagram, predominantly Instagram and X. Bitterroot Reaper. Can't miss it. Got my deer and death.
For anyone that wants to know real quick, give a quick brief of what's it mean. What does Bitterroot Reaper mean?
So the Bitterroots is a mountain range that straddles Montana and Idaho. It's a pretty famous range. Jim Bridger and most of the other trappers hunted and trapped in those areas. So it's a pretty famous area in both of those places. So it's kind of that straddles my state, straddles Montana, and then Reaper is just it's what I do.
Yeah,
I go out and find bucks and put them in my freezer.
Squatch likes to straddle guys. Squatch, how can people follow
that scissoring now? So,
well, that is kind of true. I do like to straddle guys, especially when we're in a tent, like we're gonna be when we get out to freaking Indiana. So
I'm gonna be in that fucking camper, and you're gonna see it shaking, but it's not because of that reason.
Yeah.
You're just gonna.
Problem with us is it's like Velcro. You might stick.
Yeah. Exactly.
Trouble.
So as always, you guys know you can find me here at 8:30 p.m. on the Whitetail Advantage Sundays and Tuesdays, because I'm like a staple of this place, right? You guys also can find me at the Garden State Outdoorsman podcast with Mike Nitre, Frank Lueddeke. Frankie's just heading up the helm now for the Garden State Outdoorsman now. He took the show over. And you can also follow me on Instagram, Outdoors and More with the Squatch, and my YouTube channel that's pretty much non-existent because I'm in between seasons right now on YouTube under the same header.
Well, Squatch and Brian, thank you guys for coming on the show, guys.
Yeah, man.
Hope you guys have a great rest of your night.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, bud.
Oh, man. Like I said, love Squatch. I love Brian. Great guys. Well, everyone, that's going to conclude another episode of the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. I want to say thank you to everyone that's gathered around the electronic campfire with us. Now, if this show made you laugh, made you think, gave you a new perspective, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you listen to this on the audio version, it'd be greatly appreciated if you can give us a 5-star rating as well. I also like to take a second, whether you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening to this on your truck, riding to work, let us know in the comments of what you'd like from us, more from us, how you think we could do better. Always trying to improve, so just let us know. The audio versions of our podcast gets released on every Mondays and Wednesdays at 5 a.m. Eastern Time. Now, if you want to be a guest on one of our live shows, or you want anyone from Whitetail Advantage to be a guest on your next episode for your podcast, head to our website, www.whitetailadvantage.com, and submit your request through there, or you can send us a message on Instagram. Also want to take a second to say thank you to all the companies that we partnered up with here at Whitetail Advantage. Also, last thing, we record the slot machine, and we'll see everyone Tuesday, April 8th, I believe it is. Yes. Now, there's a Tuesday show, but we don't have a guest for that day. So that what we're doing on Tuesday is we're having trivia night. So we're looking forward to that. That being said, thank you, everyone, and we'll see everyone next time. Have a good night.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.